Hey darlings, my name is Marli Darling. Welcome to another episode. Today we're going to talk about how the heck to run a business as a full-time stay-at-home mum. Guys, is that even possible? Okay guys, I am a full-time homeschooling mum. I have spent every day with my kids for at least the last 6 months. I can't remember when I had a day off. Now that's not necessarily healthy, but that's not the point that we're here to talk about. The point is how the heck I have grown my business, how I have created an online course this year, how I've started my podcast, how I've launched my YouTube channel, how I have built a website and the entire sales page and the whole shebang while being a full-time mum. It's totally possible, and it should not be hard work. You should not have to compromise on your sleep, on your health, on your energy, on your mood. You should not have to sacrifice sleep all the time. You have to spend some time, sure, but you don't need to sacrifice the good times with your kids. Now, with your kids, obviously it's about quality rather than quantity, so it is okay for them to have some time away from you, but that's kind of a side point to what I actually want to say today. First off, where should I start? Now, okay, let's go back to the beginning. So when I first had kids, I was running a clothes market and I was doing very well at it. I had created this business so that I could very easily sell these stalls online. By the time I had my kids, slightly after my kids, I started to automate it. I taught myself how to build a Wix website, and then it wasn't straight away, because when I first had my baby, she would be in her little bouncy chair thing and I would be responding to emails. And I quickly realized that the way I'd been running my business for the last couple of years wasn't super efficient, because every time someone wanted to book a stall with me, I had to email back and forth and give them the information. And guys, I was typing up the same damn things to those people every time I wrote an email. So after my baby was born, I realized that I needed to write up a document where I could copy and paste and give the people the information. And then soon after that, I built my Wix website and I had a fax page, so they didn't even have to email me and ask in the first place. And then after that, I learned how to build a Wix store. So they would just go to the website, they would book a store, I would get the payment, I'd get an email notification, I'd write their name down on the store holder list, and bam, it was done. I would send out one group email just close to the market and say, hey, just a reminder, the market's on, here's what you need to know, which was still on the website. That website was great. On the website, it told them exactly what they needed to do on market day. So there wasn't much I needed to do. I would put a Facebook post up once or twice a month and boost it as an ad, and they would go to the website, they'd book it, I'd get it, I'd write their names down, and then I literally worked. I didn't really count that as work, because after I did stop doing all those emails, it wasn't that much work. I just wrote down a person's name. Every now and then it was a little bit of customer service, answering emails and stuff. And then it was basically just the work on the day. Now on the day I would have to go and set up the hall, which was kind of the hardest thing, because I had a little baby and this was a solopreneur business. It was something I started when I was 17. At the time I had my bub, I was 20. Very young, I know. Nice and young. It's been great. And that was kind of hard because I would have to ask friends to come and help me. Or my little bubby's dad. So when I was asking my friends, I remember one time that they came late, so I was setting the things up by myself. That might have been when I was pregnant. Can't remember. Anyway, setting the things up and packing them at the end of the day was like the hardest thing. And meeting people when they arrived, I would have to check their name off on a list and kind of point them towards where stalls were. That was kind of, setting up was like the hardest physically, and talking to the people was sometimes the most stressful, because every now and then they would have an issue where someone thought they booked but they didn't, or whatever. And sometimes I'd have to rearrange if people didn't arrive, that kind of thing. But then I would have a few hours where I would just browse the market, and then at the end, say goodbye, pack up all the stuff, la-di-da. So that was my first business. I made it easy. I built it around me and my needs, and it was great. I was applying something my dad had taught me, which was economies of scale is what he called it. And nowadays what I hear my business coaches and things talk about, they kind of say, and this is, I mean, it's not even new, it was in Think and Grow Rich, but the more value you give out to the world, the more you receive. And that's what economies of scale is about. The more people you're helping, like it was one of me helping 30 to 40 people, and they would each pay for a stall. And it was great. It was really great. So I would carry my little bubby around and we'd chat to people and we would shop. And I did this while she was a toddler, and then it started getting trickier because she would run around. One time she got lost there. It was a little bit scary, but most of the time we would have fun and we would chat to people and we'd have a food van and we'd just sit outside on the lawn and have lunch. So that was great. That was great. It's definitely possible to do stuff when you have kids. Now, I'm an introvert and I'm all for things being easy, and liaising with 30 people a month and sorting out the problems and stuff. I'm a good manager, but I'm also an empath. So when the market went really well, I would absorb all the high vibes and I'd feel really great. And when it was a bit stressful, it would be like, wow, this is a lot of effort that I'm putting in, or a lot of energy. So I eventually sold that business. Let's see, I sold it 2 years ago. Okay, so I had a second toddler. I sold it when I had my second toddler, and my older daughter would walk around like she owned the place, and she would talk to people and she'd go and buy stuff, and she'd get given stuff for free because she's just cute and polite. And yeah, so that was my first business. But online business is so different because it can be easier, because you don't need to go out and physically do things. So I wanted to focus on my second business. I think at the time I sold the market, I had already created my online course for mama coaches. And mama coaches, I made it so simple, guys. I posted on Instagram and I was doing the Instagrams while my kids were playing in the morning. And I actually, was kind of why I've spent less time on Instagram since, is because it would take me quite a while to write those Instagram posts. And I wanted to be playing with my kids. But you can work when your kids are around, and that's kind of what I was doing with Reloved, is I would work when my kids are playing. You can snatch little snippets of time, and I prided myself on creating a business in the cracks of the day. And that's what I was teaching in Mama Coaches, is I was saying that you can do this. You already have the experience. You have, like, being a mum. This one's about mums, so I know that you're all mums watching. Being a mum, when you're a new mum, you really value the experience and the wisdom of other mums, especially if you're going through something particular. You want someone who's a specialist in that area, who's been through the thing. Now, you've got to realize that you as a mum, having that experience, that's valuable to someone else. They want to know what you know. They want you to teach them. They want you to coach them. So you naturally have this what's it called? Like a qualification almost, this credibility to teach what you know. And that's what Mama Coaches is about turning that into a business, is coaching other mums. And it's totally possible to do, because you can go and you can coach another mum, you can meet with them, you can have a little live coaching session at the playground while your kids play. And it's the perfect business for new mamas. So that's what I was teaching in Mama Coaches. Mama Coaches comes, just this is a side note, but Mama Coaches, I've added it into Energy Empress Vortex as a little bonus for the people who want to do it. It was because I do think it's super valuable. And if you don't have a business idea, but you want to start a business, you want to have an income stream so that you can stay home with your kids, that's a perfect one. If you don't want to do it at the park, you can do it online. You can have Zoom calls in the evening when your kids are asleep, or if you've got young ones in the middle of the day while they nap. But anyway, it's kind of to the point, kind of to the side of the point a little bit, but it's not really, because this whole thing is about how you can create businesses that work for you and work around your kids, but kind of work with your kids. Now, for me, when I did my market, it was possible, but it was a little bit tricky parenting while I was running a market and liaising with these people. But when I created my online business, it was when my kids went to sleep in the evening, I would literally just spend an hour creating the slide deck. And then I would spend an hour when it came time to film it. And it's a 6-week course. So there was 6 modules. The last one was a wrap up. So it's 5 modules. I created the slide decks. I filmed for an hour and I offered a Q&A. So that's not really that much time. And once it's done, it's done. Online courses are amazing. They're amazing. And most people know something that they can teach. You're a mum, so you've been through something that you can teach other people. Whether it be being I don't know, it could be, I wouldn't encourage you to teach anything medical, but it could be overcoming anxiety as a new mum, or it could be, you know, I teach mums business as a new mum. It could be health and nutrition. It could be, you know, gardening. It could be anything, but with, I mean, I'm kind of talking more in terms of mama coaches now. You can teach anyone anything. It doesn't have to be mum related. But any experience and knowledge that you know, if you like crochet, you can start teaching people crochet. You teach what you know. You don't need to be an absolute expert. You don't need to be a guru before you start teaching. You literally just need to be 2 steps ahead of someone, and you can guide them, you can teach them, and you will continue to grow, and then you can continue to teach them. Tony Robbins says that the 2 steps in front thing, I think he even says 2 inches. And Denise Duffield Thomas talks about not being a guru, being a contributor. You don't need to be the person who knows the most in the world, but you can show up and share a message. And that's the beautiful thing about this kind of sphere that I work in, is that we're showing up to share a very similar message. A lot of people, like most of the people that inspire me, share kind of a similar message to me. That's why I resonate with them. That's why I want to learn from them. That's why I love to consume their stuff. But we're all contributing. It's not a competition. You don't need to be the best. And the thing with life is that we don't just want one teacher to teach us something. Like maybe some things you learn once and that's it. Like I'm like riding a bike, right? I'm not going to go out and find more teachers to teach me to ride a bike. But with personal growth, or even things, I don't know, like health or gardening, humans love to learn from multiple people because we love to see what works for us. And I love to read books on the same topics from different people because there's different perspectives. There's different thoughts and ideas and experiences shared, and everyone says it in their own unique voice, in their own unique way, and so it hits different and it resonates differently. And that's the thing. You can show up and teach whatever you are called to teach, whatever you are called to start a business in, because it's unique to you. You are unique. Now, anyway, back to the point of how to do this with kids around. So one way to do it is to do it when your kids are playing. Sometimes, like, I'll be sitting out, it's like the laptop lifestyle, but for moms. Like, instead of sitting poolside, I'm like sitting on my deck outside. And I worked outside on my laptop one day while my kids were in the pool and I was supervising them. It's a shallow pool, guys. I was definitely supervising them. Or when my kids are outside reading, or they're cuddling the guinea pigs, or I was going to say reading again. My kids read a lot. Sometimes I might be at the park. Sometimes they're watching TV. That's one way. Or when they're asleep is a really great one too. But, you know, I kind of like to do it during the day. So when they're asleep, I can rest and I can have my self-care time and my leisure time and enjoy the quiet and then get good sleep. I really value good sleep because you want to have the energy to do the thing. So sacrifice sleep if you want, or sacrifice a bit of sleep, but don't do it long term. And I don't know, I think there are other ways, other easier ways to do things that you don't have to sacrifice anything. The next way, of course, is to get some help. Get someone in to watch your kids while you can work, whether it be grandparents or it be a helper. So I've got a helper with us, and she also helps with things around the house. So that I don't have to spend as much time and energy doing things around the house. So when she's here, I'm not always doing work, but I'm making it my mission on Tuesdays to show up and record some podcast episodes. Now, technically, I only need to do one a week because I'm only publishing one a week, but I want to be ahead of things because sometimes I might feel tired, or I might have a week where I burn out, or the kids might be difficult, or it might be a super sunny day and I might want to go to the beach. That's just the lifestyle that I live. So I like to batch things when I feel like it. And if I end up with a gazillion podcast episodes, maybe I'll publish more than once a week. But there's no harm in doing extra and being prepared. And honestly, like, I've been doing an hour 15 today, and I'm probably going to stop soon, and maybe I will do some Canva stuff, either create some opt-ins or create some Instagram graphics. But I'm going to go downstairs and I'm going to be around my kids when I do that, because I like to be around them, and that stuff takes less brain energy, and I can kind of interact with them and see them about while I do that. And our helper's still going to be there for a bit of that. But even if she wasn't, I'd probably have some quality time with my kids, and then I'll get back to it. I really loved, I think it was Shonda Rhimes who wrote The Year of Yes, and she talked about having these focus sessions with your kids, and I think it was her, I think she said it in there, otherwise this is just another idea, is for every 45 minutes of the hour that you do work is to have 15 minutes focused with the kids. And she has a nanny, so it's a bit different, but in the start of the book, she talks about how the kids were always just seeing, she realized one day, she was halfway out the door, and she realized her kids were always seeing the back of her head. Like, they saw the back of her head more than they saw her, and that just really hit her. So I really encourage that kind of strategy as well, is doing some focused work, but then do some really focused interaction with your kids, because it's about quality, not about quantity. I've started doing something called a yes sesh, and it's 20 minutes where my kids get to choose what they want to do, and I will do it with them. And as a homeschooling mom, I'm trying to incorporate that as something straight after we do our lessons in the morning, as a little bit of motivation. And also, this is kind of a habit thing as well, is buffering your habits with joyful things. And that's from Atomic Habits by James Clear. If you guys want another resource, I love sharing resources because they absolutely change my life, but never feel that you have to go and read all these books and do all these things that I'm talking about. It's just a little suggestion. So having those yes sessions, so you can either, like I was saying, you could work around your kids, you can have some help, you can make sure that you have that quality time after you work. You could work while they're asleep. Batching is a really great thing to do, is when you are focused. Like, I'm set up for podcasting. Imagine if I came up here and I set up and I did one podcast, and then I got off my chair, I got a different chair set up so that I could do Canva, and then maybe I had to find, I don't know, a different notebook or something because I wanted to start doing opt-ins. It's every time you shift your focus, you lose the momentum and you lose energy and you lose focus. And it's better to show up and batch and do the same thing. It's kind of becomes a factory line. You get in the motion of it and build that momentum, and it becomes a lot more automatic rather than switching tasks. So batching is really great, especially with things like podcasts. Like, I'll be able to upload this, and then it will be scheduled, and I can do that to YouTube, like, and the podcast, and then it's done and dusted, and I'll have a few weeks ahead of podcasts done and ready, and I don't have to do anything else for it. You can do the same with your Instagram and a lot of social medias. You can schedule them, or you can at least batch them in advance and save them to your drafts. Another thing that's really great to do is to what's it called? Like, when you reuse a piece of content for several different things, but in a different way. Can't remember the technical term right now. But at the moment, what I'm doing is I'm having an idea and I'm saying, okay, that can be a podcast episode, because I'm focusing on my podcast on my YouTube. So that can be an episode, and then I'll be able to maybe give an opt-in of something that's relevant. So for this one, I'm thinking about creating a little workbook for you guys, so you can really think about and have some questions and kind of write it down on paper how you can make it work for you and what will work for you. And then you'll have it there so you have a written plan rather than just listening to a podcast and going about your day. So there's going to be the episode, then there'll be the opt-in, then maybe I'll create a masterclass at some point, a free masterclass for you guys to go onto and go through this with me in more depth. And that will be kind of like the workbook with the questions where you'll be thinking more about your life. Whereas in the podcast, in the YouTube, you're listening to me and my examples rather than actually applying it to you and creating the solutions for you. Then what I'll do is I'll take this topic and I'll think about how to say it really succinctly, the few kind of tips that I'm sharing, and I'll put that into an Instagram post in one of those little, I don't know what it's called, but I'll call it like a multi-deck thing. So you can just read the little headline. And then in the Instagram post below it, I will link to this episode. And in the links of this episode, I'll link to the workbook. And if I get a masterclass out, I would put that on both, because this is kind of the face of it, is these episodes and the social medias. So sharing those opt-ins. How else can you do it? Then at some point, if I wanted to blog, I could write basically what I've said here as a blog. And some people just get their videos transcribed and then edited and turned into a blog automatically. There are so many different ways that you can automate this process. And I've kind of written little maps for myself before, but it can be overwhelming. So there needs to be a focus or processes, or maybe you might need a team at some point or a VA. But I just want to get you guys started. My business coach, James Wedmore, is like all about teams, and I know that it's taking me longer and I'm struggling more because I'm doing it myself, but I like doing it my way, and I like doing it on this path, and letting things unfold and growing in the meantime, and having, like, I took 5 months off last year to integrate things, and then in December it like exploded for me. It just all came out of me. I created my Kajabi website, I created my sales page, I launched my podcast and my YouTube, I got my entire course uploaded online, and I did all the thumbnails for them. And that was something that back in May, the end of May, when I was about to take a month off for June, that was like a lot of resistance, and I ended up taking that 5 months off. I had some stuff happening in life as well, but anyway, my main point is you can do it yourself, and you don't need to have those breaks like I did. I'm learning, and I will teach you guys how to just get the stuff done. Now that I've got set up, now that I know, I have so many lessons to share. It can be so easy, you guys. It can be as easy as, okay, I've got an idea. I'm going to, there's 3 things, right? You need to have your idea. You need to know what you're doing. You need to know how you're going to do it. So maybe it's a membership. Maybe it's a course. Maybe it's a video course. Maybe it's an audio course. You just decide kind of the what. You got to have an image of it. And then a way to find the people. So going backwards from that, you would find the people, sell the thing to them, create the thing, like film, upload it to Kajabi, sell the thing. Like Kajabi does all of it on there, so that's great. You literally just need to find people who want the thing and sell the thing. Like my first online course I did, I had Instagram and I posted, and then I had an idea for an offer. I made the offer, and then I found a few students that wanted to do it. They bought the program. Then I created the program. Every week I already had the outline, pardon me. Can't remember if I already had the slide decks, not sure at that point, but maybe either way, I created the slide decks, filmed the video, and then that was it. It gets to be easy. So anyway, back to reusing your content. Choose the one way to do it. So at the moment I'm focusing on my podcasting, and when I have a bunch of them done and I can ease back a little bit, because this gives me a lot of energy, so I really would love to keep doing it often, but I can shift my focus a little bit and say, okay, now I'm going to batch all my Instagrams and I'm going to relate them back to the topics that I have. And I already have these podcasts up, so I can just say, hey, this is the podcast that came out this week. or did you hear about the podcast that came out last month, and link back to it. When I create the opt-ins, I can just put the link at the bottom of each of these episodes. When I create a masterclass, same thing, put it at the bottom. Or I can edit these videos and these audios at the end to say, hey, I created a new masterclass. Like, it gets to be easy, and you can do one step at a time, and you can grow and expand as you go rather than trying to do it all at once. Because I've tried to do it all at once, and I've realized that it's so much easier to just write down my ideas and have a plan that is not doing everything at once. So batching is great for mums. Delegating things that drain your energy, or deleting things out of your life that you really don't need to be doing. I'm not sure if this is James's thing, but it's called DAD. Dadding is delegate, automate, delete. Delegate the things you shouldn't be doing, or maybe you should. Yeah, delegate the things you shouldn't be doing. Automate the things that can be automated. So like I'm scheduling my podcasts. There's all sorts of ways you can automate things, and delete the things you don't need in your life. So I went and I unsubscribed finally from all the emails that I don't read, rather than every day getting up and spending 5 minutes deleting emails that I didn't want in my inbox. That saved time for me. At the moment with my kids, I'm saying, kids, no projects. I will play with you. We will do our schooling when school goes back, and we'll enjoy nature, but I'm going to put a pin in anything. Like my daughter yesterday, she said, can we build a bird table? And my other daughter said, I don't know, can we make toffee? And there's like, they are so excited to learn and be involved in life that they have all these ideas, and they are wonderful. But at the moment, no projects. I need to focus my energy and get back to routine and get back to enjoying my kids and spending more time in nature. And we just don't need a million things in our life. I realized towards the end of last year at Business by Design Live that, what was her name? Is it Nicole LaPera, or is that some random famous person? Nicole, her speech was great, and it made me realize that like when I did Unleash the Power Within with Tony Robbins, I thought that my top value is comfort. And when I went through Nicole's system of figuring out your top values and your top needs, I realized that it's freedom and simplicity and meaning. When I have those things, I feel fulfilled. I love to create because it makes me feel free and it has meaning. And if things aren't simple in my life, like when my house is messy, it just really gets to me. And I used to be quite OCD, and I've healed most of that. So I wonder, well, why is this mess getting to me? It's the visual noise. And I'm actually on the autism spectrum, guys, just FYI. So I'm like, well, maybe that visual noise is from that. And sure, it could be, but I mean, I have a whole opinion on disabilities and neurodiversities and mental illnesses and even physical illnesses as well. I have a whole spiritual opinion on those, so let's not go into that too much right now. So if I feel like it's visual noise, is that really because of autism, or is it just because it's a thing and then they categorize it as autism? Or is it just because I value simplicity? Who knows? Who cares? Doesn't matter. But when I look at it that way, rather than, oh, mess really stresses me out, I can think, okay, one of my needs is simplicity, and it's something that I value, and it's something that makes me feel energized and aligned. That's the positive way of looking at that, because I'm looking at something that I do want rather than something that I don't want. So it's really helpful to know that. And so I'm really simplifying my life, and I encourage that for you as well. Rather than have a million different projects or lots of different things, really focus on what's important, and maybe you can live a simpler life. Like at the moment, I'm literally thinking, okay, maybe I'll get up in the morning and I'll do my exercise and I'll have breakfast with my kids and really spend time with them, and then I will do some creating, and then I'll go and I'll spend the rest of the day and aim to go in nature with them and aim to get at the moment we're doing, oh, where's my pedometer? Oh, I lost my pedometer, guys. It's somewhere in the house, but that means I've missed out on some steps. But yesterday, the kids and I went out in nature, and we got our step goal, which was really cool, and we walked further than we've ever walked before, and we're all happy, and we also spent time in nature, and we got our hours outside because we're doing 1,000 hours outside. Now that might seem complicated, all those little goals, but it's all the one thing. It's all, I get up, I exercise, I create, and then for the afternoon, we go and we walk in nature, and we spend time in nature, and we spend time together. And that's what fuels me, and my kids are happy doing that, and anything else can kind of work around that structure. So I'm just making it really simple, especially because we're in summer, even though it's super cloudy and going to rain this week. Just not doing a million things. And a really good book to read is The One Thing by maybe someone whose name is Gary. It's a yellow book. I'm sure Google will find it for you. In The One Thing, it says just focus on one thing you're going to get done each day, because if you pay attention, especially when you're a mom, if you have like 1,000 different things that you want to get done, like you could have this list and you might just get the top few done, but how far do you really get down the list? The thing that you prioritize most is the thing that will get done. And as a mum, especially a mum who wants to create her business or grow her business, prioritizing is really important, because when I show up and my focus for the day is getting stuff done in my business, stuff gets done in my business, and then I go have time with my kids. If I focus on, oh, I need to get the washing done and I need to do the dishes and I want to make cookies, that's what I do. My kids are yelling for me. So you need to think about what your focus is and what your priority is. And the reality is, I read this in, I don't know what book, but whatever you are doing is your priority. So if you're saying, oh, my priority is my business, but you're acting like something else, or if you're saying my priority is quality time with my kids, but you're fluttering about the house, like organizing and doing stuff, what you're doing is actually your priority. And that other thing that you say is your priority, it isn't your priority yet. You would like to think that it is, but it isn't. And you can switch that. You can decide, actually, that's my priority. That's the number one thing that's going to get done. And all this other stuff works around it. If I say I'm going to go show up for my business at 9 o'clock, I'm not going to do the washing first. It can wait. It can happen afterwards. A really good tip is to get the thing you want to get done first thing in the morning, and then you have the rest of the day free. I've studied while I've had kids, I've had business while I've had kids, and trying to get something done later in the day is stressful. Like when I was creating my course after my kids went to sleep, at the time, I was really struggling with their bedtimes, and so that made it even more stressful, because I knew that if my kids wouldn't go to sleep, if they took more time, then I would either have to stay up late or not have that time on my business. Conversely, when I've woken up at like 4 or 5 a.m., and you don't have to do that, because at the moment my goal is just 9:30, and done it in the mornings, the rest of the day I feel so free and so full and so energized. I show up better for my kids. I can do jobs around the house, but like I say, delegation is great also. I can do jobs around the house and it doesn't get me down, because I'm full already, and so I don't have to think so much about doing them. I'm running on autopilot because I have this energy within me. So guys, that's a few of my tips for managing a business with kids. It is totally doable. Make it simple. Know your message, know your niche, know your offer. And some people say, like I say, okay, to have your business, you just need to know what you're offering, how you're going to get it to the people, and how you're going to tell them about it. And then, what was I going to say? Make it simple. Just repeat your message, know what your niche is, and show up, say the same thing. Katrina Ruth in her book, oh my God, she said that she makes it her personal goal to make an offer a minimum of 10 times a day. Now, I don't necessarily recommend that, but I'm making it my goal to create more opt-ins and create valuable Instagram posts that link to these videos, that to a more in-depth conversation, and link to opt-ins that that kind of lead back to my offer. And that's a really great, simple business strategy, is just to say, hey, I've got this thing available, and talk about it, because they say that you need to see something 7 times before you buy it, because then you have that trust and familiarity. That number was from back in like the 50s or something, from selling, and I guess now that it's 21 times, which I don't necessarily think is true, because I bought things first time, I bought things third time, because if your intuition knows, right? but you're doing a disservice not to share it. It's not rude to show up and make an offer. If you're being pushy with your sales, sure, it's pushy. But if you're showing up and making this offer and inviting people into this thing that you have, it's called an offer because it's an offer. You are offering to give something, to teach something, to share something, to take someone through an experience, to sell them something that they need. People seem to have this opinion of sales like it's a sleazy door-to-door salesman trying to sell someone something that they don't want and not leaving them alone. That's not what you're doing. People can click off your Instagram if they want to. They can keep scrolling. You're just showing up and saying, hey, I've got this cool thing. Are you the kind of person who's interested? Maybe it can help you. That's all it is. Business can be so simple. You can do it with your kids around. Oh, the last thing I have to say really, really quickly is the 80-20 rule. 20% of your actions create 80% of your results. And too many people get caught up in that 80%. Know which things are actually making progress and making you money and moving the needle, as they say, which is why at the moment I'm focusing on podcasting and YouTube, because I know that it's fueling me. I know that it will be a resource that's up there forever, especially YouTube. It will reach people forever. Whereas before, I've spent time on Instagram, I've spent time on TikTok, and I just don't see it making as much impact for me at the moment because I'm not called to do it. I'm not fully in it, and I feel that that's kind of more like a treadmill. I want to have my bulk resources done first, so then my little treadmill social media can be for fun and kind of directing people back to it. So really pay attention to what moves the needle for you, and if that means creating your slide deck and planning your course and filming your course and getting it up, or if that means showing up on social media and just talking about your offer, whatever that means for you, do the thing that moves the needle, that creates the results, that is building your business rather than stuff that's the fluff. And you could probably cut out the 80% as well. So I used to waste so much time looking at branding, and now I'm like, still probably want to spend, I was thinking about it when I woke up in the night last night, but I realized at some point I just have to move past that because there was literally no point to it. Sure, I want my business to look great, but I can change my branding later. I can change all the thumbnails and stuff. And that will be fine to do. I can grow and evolve as I go, but I can't be perfect starting out. That's not realistic. Done is way better than perfect, guys. So if you're a mama and you have a business and you want to grow it, or you've got a hobby and you want to grow it, or you've got an idea and you want to start it, or you want to have an idea and you want to start a business, you can freaking do it. And you can do it in like an hour a day or 2 hours a week or whatever you have available to you. Just get started and start doing something that will grow. Like if you're creating podcasts or starting a YouTube channel, if you do one a week, you're growing something, you're building something. If you start writing a book and you write for an hour a week, you're building something. If you start talking about an offer that you have, the more you talk about it, the more it grows, the more people see it. Progress is progress is progress. Take steps towards your destiny, guys, and it will happen. It will happen. So all the best from me, all my positive intentions sending to anyone who's listening to this episode, anyone who's watching it on YouTube. Your dreams are possible, your business is possible, and it gets to be easy. See you in the next episode, gorgeous.